Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. If you are an actor, you know auditioning is the worst. And the only thing that can make it worse is if you are non-equity going out for auditions. And the short film Non-Ec perfectly encapsulates, oh my goodness, my lips, this truth. Today, we are speaking with the two leads of the film, Katelyn, Lauria, and Joshua Pemberton, as well as the writer and director, John Walbolt. Katelyn, Joshua, John, welcome to the show.
Woo-hoo! Thank you. Hi.
Thank you for having us. Yay.
No problem. First of all, congrats on the film. It was a wonderful little short. And yes, it encapsulates exactly what happens when you go out to those auditions and things like that.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna take a few seconds at the beginning and find out who you all are. So John, we're gonna start with you, and then I'll say who's next. Who is John in 30 seconds? The 30-second bio of John.
30-second bio. California guy, did years of performing, did cruise ships, did theater, did some producing cabarets, and now working on film as a writer and a director.
Perfect. Katelyn, yourself.
Okay, I'm a Jersey baby and I've been in the tri-state area. So I have done musical theater all over the United States. I've done sketch comedy, stand-up, a little bit that I'm working on. Hopefully John and I, round two. And I'm also trying to start film.
Perfect. And Josh, 30 seconds. Who are you?
I am a Southeast Missouri boy. I went to school in Boston at Boston Conservatory, and I've been in the New York City for the last decade trying to make it, and I'm finally a big star in the movie Non-Ec.
Well, let's jump right into the film. So John, you are the director and the writer of this. What was the impetus for creating this film in the first place?
Well, I wanted to create something that was original because I had worked with other people before on their stuff, and I wanted to show the world what I had to offer. And so it was just sort of like, write what you know. And what I know is struggling as an actor, mainly in New York City. And so it started with that. And yeah, then I was sort of, it was like a snowball effect, or yeah, it was sort of like I had wanted to work with Katelyn for a while, and I was like, oh my gosh, she would be perfect as that typical hot mess of a musical theater girl auditioning, like great personality, but also could play into that sort of like tragic heroine. And then also it was sort of like, well, who could be her sidekick? Would it be another girl? Would it be a boyfriend? And then I was like, no, it's gotta be Josh. And I was like, that would be so great. And so I just thought that once I thought of those two, like kind of co-starring, it was like, I gotta do this. And everything kind of stemmed off of that.
Right. So when you were writing it, were you basing it on experiences you'd already had, or did you do some research and talk to Katelyn and Josh and other people to put this all together?
It was in terms of the experience, it was based on my life. However, I will say that they definitely influenced the writing for those characters, because I had ideas for the characters, but then I also was like, well, I got to play to their strengths because they're both hilarious and they both have their own little quirks and mannerisms that are like, we got to take advantage of.
So Katelyn, did you already knew each other, Josh and John already?
Yeah, we all actually work together. So it's a beautiful pair or a trio, if I will. But yeah, we all work together, and John came up with this idea for us. And at first, when he told me the title, I said, oh my God, yes. And then we did a read through in Manhattan, and it just bloomed from there.
Nice. And Josh, did you have some input into the structure of the character when John wrote it already, or at least the outline, and you saw it? Were you able to go, oh, I recognize myself, and then put your own little thing into it? Or how did that work?
Oh, I definitely would say I recognize myself in some ways into the character, but John was really great about letting us kind of play around with what he already had written and kind of let us go off on tangents or, use our comedic skills in different ways, and, just wherever things went, they went.
So John, back to you for a second. So give us the basic plot line of Non-Act.
Yeah, so it's so tricky because the plot line is basically a day in the life of two non-actors, and everything seems to go wrong. And part of it is their fault, part of it is the fault of the industry and just how tough it is. And they meet different people along the way that may or may not ruffle their feathers. And it's just sort of like, as I was describing Katelyn's character, it's just kind of a hot mess of a day, which is basically how auditions go in New York. It's like nothing is hardly ever just straightforward. It's always kind of uncomfortable and ridiculous and over the top. And so, yeah, I mean, the plot itself is almost secondary to the characters, I would say. Like when it's tough when people are like, well, what happens? And it's like, well, they go to auditions, but that's like, it's almost like when someone says, what happens in Seinfeld? It's like, well, it doesn't really matter what happens. It's like, it's how the characters respond to what happens. So yeah, so you have to see it if you guys want to know, you listeners want to know what happens.
So Katelyn, the character's described as a hot mess. When you got the part, and how did you take that and interpret it? Did you feel you had some hot mess in you already and that was easy to bring out, or was that something you had to dig deep to find that hot mess?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie to you, I am the hot mess. I literally am Stacy. I have had so many embarrassing auditions. I have really, I've done it all, let's just say. So when John wrote this, I immediately I gelled right with the material because I understand what it's like. Like when John said those days and those auditions in Manhattan, that's so real. You could be like, I'm on my A game. And then like a car, there's like a huge puddle and then you're all soaking wet. And you're like, great, can't wait to audition. Like, there's always something.
Well, Josh, do you like auditions? As an actor, do you enjoy those? Or is that the nightmare that is in the Non-Act?
Jean-Paul, I am offer only, and that has not served me well. I have not. I will be honest, I haven't experienced a lot of New York auditions because of that, but I'm hoping when this pandemic is over, I'll get to audition more and actually maybe be in things.
Your book.
But yeah, as far as auditioning goes, yeah. They used to bother me. They don't bother me that much anymore. I've learned to be more prepared for auditions than I once was.
And Katelyn, when you go out to audition, did you learn anything from the film that you could take into your actual auditions? Go, no, I can't do that, or anything like that?
It is really funny when I sing Pool Boy, I noticed how fast I was. I was like, hi, my name's Stacy, here's my song. And I was like, oh my God, do I do that? And then I really took a second. And I always come in, I'm like, what's up, guys? And I'm always that person. So I actually had the mirror and I was like, well, I can't be that abrasive. And I need to slow down. So thank you, John.
So, John, when Katelyn makes it huge, it'll be thanks to you and your film, obviously, because our audition was perfect.
10%, 10% from here on out. No, I'm kidding. No, that I hope both these guys get a lot of eyes on them because honestly, everyone in the film did. Like, I think everyone looks really good. So yeah, I fully believe it. I'm a huge believer in these guys.
Nice. So
Aw,
when
John, we love you.
Yeah.
So John, when was this shot?
This was shot September 2019, with the exception of one scene with if you watch the film, the very opening intro where Stacy's rushing home from work and Michael's on the phone, drinking wine. That bit with Josh we actually shot after the fact, like in January or February of 2020, something like that. It was months later when I was already editing, and I was like, I think I need the other side of the phone call. I just need it.
And I had a different haircut at the time, so we had to like figure out how we were going to deal with that.
That's right.
My hair and beard were a big problem the whole time, because it was I should have just cut it at like a length that would have been like easy to get back to, but they were all like staggered in a million different places. So it was like, how are we gonna make this, all flow together? It's gonna look like a completely different person.
On the phone call, you're wearing the towel on your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the wine.
Yeah, we're just like, well, we can't show his hair. Well, perfect. This will like lead to an even better thing.
Well, you could have CGI'd it like Superman, and what was it? They added in the mustache or something like that.
No, they
CGI budget.
We definitely had that budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll find it. It's in the numbers somewhere.
Nice.
Accounting.
So you got this all out before the pandemic, then? You got it all shot and all that fun stuff?
It was all shot before the pandemic, but it was initially released in May of last year. And then it was kind of doing like some film festivals like online. Mm-hmm. And then we finally got onto Amazon end of last year. Like it was like December 29th or something like that.
Okay.
And then we just got onto Tubi TV like a month ago.
Nice.
So it's been a very long process. It's crazy to think about, because I also started writing the thing like I think maybe in June or July of 2019. So it's almost been a 2-year process up until now. It's crazy.
Is this one of your first films that you shot, or?
Yeah, this was my first.
Your first. So what was that experience like? Because you said you have a background in theater, and directing, I guess, theater or being a part of theater and film is slightly different, obviously.
Yeah, it was a lot of new things, and it was the hardest thing I ever did. It was so emotionally draining. The time we had between shooting days, I was just like a zombie, because I was so emotionally drained, and it was probably just because so much of it was new for me and I had a lot on my shoulders. But totally worth it, because now I feel like, oh, that's a piece of cake now in hindsight, but at the time it was a lot of work, and it helped that everyone else working on it, including the crew, were all people I knew very well. So like that wasn't something that was making it harder. That actually probably made it a lot easier than it would have been. But in spite of the people around me, it was still like, whew, this is a lot.
It's always good to have a team you trust of people, right?
Yeah.
Because if something goes wrong, you can fall back on them or blame them, and you're okay because you already know them. So
yeah, I'd blame Josh for a couple things.
That's fine. That makes sense though.
So speaking to Josh, so you got a background in theater. Have you done a lot of film or TV work, and what's the difference that you found?
No, I really hadn't done that 2019 was my year to do TV and film. One of my best friends was developing a TV like short kind of show called The Influencers, which is also on Amazon, and he asked me to come and kind of like work on it as like a PA, but also have like a small bit part in the show as well. And then John asked me to do this, so that was my first 2 times really doing any kind of on-camera work, but I really enjoy it. But it is very different from theater. It's nice to be able to redo things, but at the same time you have to make it all fit together in a certain way, and that's hard for a theater actor, because I just want to do it different every time, and it's like, no, we need to be able to put this together with the stuff that happened before. So it's different.
What about for you, Katelyn?
This was my first film, just like Josh. 2019, 2020 was the year that we started doing more film. Right after Not FD, I did a reality TV show, which is fun, but not as fun as Non-Ec. I really feel like I learned a lot from Josh and John as well. I like how Josh was describing how you have to do everything the same. I am very improv based. So like, I'm like, let's go, let's do it. Let's bounce the ball. Let's have fun. And I would switch it up and Josh would be like, continuity, Katelyn. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So I'm sitting there and he's like, continuity. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. So then he's like, you have to do it the same way. And I was like, oh, so poor John had a lot of takes that were very different. So he wanted to probably kill me, but you know, here we are. We have a great cut of Non-Ec.
Nice. So John, is there a sequel coming up to Non-Ec, or what projects are you moving on to?
Yeah, Don.
Yeah, you've got some hungry actors.
My top choice would be to do a sequel if certain things fell into place. I mean, it really all comes down to how many people watch it. I mean, that's really what determines it. It is a tall order, and I've learned the hard way how hard it is to do independent filmmaking or web series or whatever you want to call it. So it's what I'm open to first on my agenda, but I'm still waiting for the numbers to come in, shall we say. So it's a little up in the air.
Yeah.
So if people watch it and they like it and they want to support it, like, you don't have to pay anything. Just tell your friends about it. That's the best way to support us.
Nice. Did it go straight onto video, or did you actually get to see it in a theater?
No, because the pandemic had already started.
Okay.
And that was also a big bummer with the whole film festival thing, because I had, like, my dream was to, like, well, first of all, I wanted to have like a party with the cast to be like, let's watch it together for the first time. We couldn't even do that. We had to go on Zoom. And beyond that, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have it in film festivals in New York, and like people can come see it there. And that, you know, that didn't happen either. So it's, you know, we all had to make adjustments, but yeah, so it was straight to streaming.
Straight to streaming.
Yeah.
It's going to happen a lot now. Just because.
Like all great movies, yeah.
So Josh, what are you up to now? Now that you've got the fame and fortune from Non-Ec.
Yes.
What are you doing now?
Well, honestly, mask wearing has been great for me. People don't recognize me as quickly. Nice. No, I'm in Florida with my family, and just kind of, you know, hoping and praying that we can get back to the city. I left the city. I was one of the traders who left. And yeah, I'm missing it so much. So I'm really hoping I can get back, hopefully in the fall.
Nice. And what about you, Katelyn? What have you been up to, or what future plans do you have, or anything in the pipeline?
My gosh, nothing that I know of yet. I mean, I'm also like Josh, mask wearing, fully vaccinated. Woohoo! So I'm happy for that.
Must be nice.
I also left New York as well. I went to my hometown in Pennsylvania for a bit. And right now auditions are slowly rolling in, like at a glacial pace.
Yeah.
So right now I'm back in trying to get back into business mode, like fixing my book, working on new songs, finding monologues, you know, just trying to stay on my craft as much as I can. So when it finally opens, I could be like, whoop, pow.
I know right now it's so hard because you don't know when it's going to even open a little bit. And because I'm up here in Toronto in Canada, and you guys are all getting your shots, and I'm still waiting to even see if I can sign up for them. So you guys are going to be open a little bit earlier than me. So yeah, it must be difficult, you know, trying to figure out when you can start ramping up and getting out in there and doing anything again.
Well, when the pandemic hit, I was still in callbacks for things. So I was sending in videos, not even knowing I was in for a tour. I was in for like all these other things. And I'm like, is this going to happen? Like, what's going on? And I'm like putting all of my work into this Zoom audition. And I was like, well, I'll see you guys in a year.
Well, at least thanks to John, you've all got the audition ability on camera already, right? So moving to an audition on Zoom, thank you, John. You know, you've helped them again, 10%, right? So
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
So where can we see Non-Ec? Where are the streams that we are able to see this on?
Amazon Prime or Tubi TV. But so yeah, Amazon Prime, you can, if you have Prime, you can watch it for free, of course, or you can pay to rent it, or Tubi TV, you can watch it for free.
Cool.
With like, I think there's like 2 ads on Tubi TV. I think that's how they run it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think basically anywhere in the world you can watch it now.
Fantastic. That's where I saw it, on Tubi. So
Oh,
yes.
perfect.
Hey.
I will put it on our social media and let everybody know where to find it to
Thank you.
see you all and the show. So I want to say thank you. Thank you all for coming on and talking to me and introducing me to the show. And reminding me not to do auditions ever again. I do not ever want to do this.
Right.
So you've reminded me. So thank you. Thank you for that. But before we go, I always ask all of my guests 3 questions. There's no right or wrong answers, but we're going to learn a little bit about you and your personalities and who you are. All right. So I'll ask each one of you these 3 questions. So the first question, and don't worry, John, it's not that scary. I know it's on radio, so nobody can see you right now, but he looks worried. So question number 1, what creator or team within musical theater has had a great influence on you? Now, this could be a composer, a lyricist, a director, producer, actor, stage manager even. They could be somebody famous, not famous, like a teacher you had in high school. So, John, we'll start with you. Is there somebody in musical theater that influenced you?
Yeah, this is going to be such a mainstream answer, but Lin-Manuel, just because, like, I mean, he created his own path, you know. He what he had to offer didn't really exist on Broadway, and he made it happen, and now, you know, he can do anything. So I'm very jealous of that.
Josh, yourself.
Nope.
Josh?
Josh? Cueing
Am
Josh?
I still here?
You are.
Can everyone see me?
He had to go
I was
answer a
just
call
so
for
bored of John's answer.
Well,
I
Josh,
was like, Lin-Manuel, I'm out of here. No, I'm just kidding. I love Lin-Manuel.
Well, Josh, who anybody in musical theater, famous or non, that influenced you?
I guess I'm gonna go the non route. Like my voice teacher, James Javor, Boston Conservatory, was a huge influence. I came to Boston Conservatory thinking I was a tenor, and he quickly told me, you are not. We will work those notes, we will take you higher, you will sing high, but you are not a tenor. A tenor is this and you are not that. And so that was a huge blow to me at first, but really helped me because I had no idea I could sing in a bass register or anything like that. So it just changed what I actually could do, or what opened doors. And my voice, my rep coach, Kathy Rand at school, also is somebody that really changed the way I looked at performing a song. She was like, you oversing. Everything you do, you oversing. It's like you're showing off. It's like you're supposed to be telling a story, and you're not telling a story, you're just oversinging. I was like, oh, okay. And that changed everything for me too. So if I had to go with famous, Stephen Sondheim is the person I am most inspired by, the works that I'm most inspired by. But those are the people that really changed how I was going to perform and move forward in the art form.
Cool. Katelyn.
Josh, I had Stephen Sondheim. Well, originally,
you can have him.
I'm gonna take him. No, originally, my first musical that I ever saw that got me fully hooked was, feel free to judge everyone, but was Cats, the Andrew Lloyd Webber. So meow meow. That's what really started me in musical theater. I just loved everything about it and the music, and I love the story and everything behind of what Stephen Sondheim represents. Every musical that he has ever, like, oh, Sweeney Todd, Into the Woods, like they're just beautiful pieces of art.
Yeah.
Everyone
and don't worry, Katelyn, Andrew Lloyd Webber is the gateway drug for a lot of people in
Yeah.
musical theater. So you got Phantom was the gateway drug really for me when I heard that, and then I heard other stuff, and then well, we know.
And then you expanded your
exactly. But you got to get in somehow.
Yeah, you got to get in.
You have a more sophisticated palate maybe now.
All correct answers. So question number 1, all 1 point for each of you. All right.
Yay.
Nice.
Question number 2, worst audition experience. And I'm not talking about in the audition part. I'm talking about in the outer room while you're waiting. What is your worst audition experience out there? Josh, let's start with you.
Oh gosh, I really don't know if I have. Well, I mean, mine, I guess, is going to have to go in and out. So I was in like in rounds for that movie Pitch Perfect, but it was like when I was auditioning for it, was called like collegiate a cappella singing or something. And I show up and the rounds before they asked for very specific things, and then they just asked me to read sides for this round. But when I got in the room, they're like, okay, we want to hear your top 40 song. And I was like, no one told me about this. So I didn't have, I was supposed to bring like a karaoke tape and sing a top 40 song, and I didn't have any of that. And so they were like, okay, well, we can give you 5 minutes to go out and pick something. So, and I don't listen to top 40s music anyways. I only listen to theater music. So I was like, oh crap. So I went out in the hallway and I picked, somebody was like, what about that song Billionaire? And I was like, okay. So I like listened to it. I only had to do like 32 bars of it anyways. And I was like, I want to be a billionaire so freaking bad. And I started it there and it worked out perfectly. But when I got into the room, back in the room, I started it like 5 steps higher. I was like, I want to be a billionaire. And it was just so crazy. I mean, and they were like, you're screaming and the camera's right there. It just was really embarrassing. But yeah, I guess it was if you want what's outside the room, it was the fear outside the room of like picking a top 40 song. It was terrible.
Katelyn.
Mine is in the room. I will say I like to consider myself the mayor of Pearl Studios, which is like the non-equity placed audition. So I always have a grand time kikiing with everybody. But I will say, I think I was auditioning for like Tokyo Disney. Like, why was I auditioning? I don't know. Great place, though. We love it. And I was auditioning for this like saloon woman. I don't know. And I hadn't sang this song for years. And it was from Mac and Mabel, Wherever He Ain't. Mm-hmm. So I started singing it. I'm sorry if you can hear some construction. They're going underneath my house. I'm so sorry. So anyways, it's like they're like really going in. Okay, so anyway, so I started singing Mac and Mabel, but I haven't sung it in years. So I'm like, if he's going northwest, I'm going southeast. And it's just north and south, but I completely blacked out and I kept mixing up lyrics. And this woman behind the table was looking at me and she was like, okay, just please stop. And I went, thank you so much. I was like, that's it. So
she loved it.
Nice. John, what about yourself?
Oh, the one that comes to mind is when there was the revival of Hair in like 2008 or 2009. I was obsessed with that show, and I was like, I'm gonna be in this. This is gonna be my Broadway debut for sure. It's meant.
Did you go to that open call at the Public?
I went to every open call they had for that show. I part of that time I wasn't even living in New York, and I would fly into town for their open calls. I was just obsessed. One of them though, so I did go to the Public one, but another one I went to. I remember I got to the building at. Maybe it was like 3 a.m. or something crazy, which in today's day and age, like maybe isn't as extreme, but back then I got there and I was the second person in line. Building wasn't even open. I ended up falling asleep outside, and then people were waking me up to go into the building so I wouldn't lose my spot. And then we had to wait for the elevator to like be accessible because they didn't open up the whole building yet. Basically, I spent the whole day like half asleep because I had work the night before. I was miserable the whole time, and it was one of those calls where they only saw equity until the very end, and they're like, okay, we have room for like 2 EMC people. Yeah. So I was one of 2 non-union people who got to be seen, but I wasn't seen until the end of the day at like 4:45 or 5 o'clock. And I was so just such a wreck from the experience that I went in to sing. I was so excited. And then I was just like, my voice was just destroyed because no warm up, no rest. I was cracking all over the place. And that whole day, it just felt so discouraging the whole day.
Oh, man. Great answers. 1 point for each of you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Still tied.
Final question, maybe most important. Food in the theater or cell phones in the theater? Which is worse? Katelyn.
Cell phones, hands down.
John.
Cell phones.
Josh.
I like to eat and use my cell phone in the theater, but no, I would say cell phones are definitely the worst. They go off at the most important part of the show where you're just like, oh, that just ruined it.
Yeah.
3 correct answers. Though I would have accepted both are terrible, ban them all. So
yeah, no kidding.
But like what kind of food? You know, I mean, if someone's
chips and salsa.
Okay.
Yeah, if you eat well, that's loud. But if you had a Subway sandwich, that's soft bread and that doesn't make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
When I saw To Kill a Mockingbird, there was someone near me that had sushi that they brought in. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's a quiet snack.
That's also a quiet food. Yeah, that's a quiet food.
There's a
aroma to it.
Yeah. You know, yeah. And it's like, of all the plays to disrespect with your dinner, you pick To Kill a Mockingbird.
John, Katelyn, Joshua, thanks so much. Thank you so much for introducing us to the show, telling us a little bit about it and yourselves. And I look forward to seeing all your careers on film and TV and on stage in the future. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, John Paul.
This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for letting us tell the story of Non-Ec and showcasing these guys. Really been fun.
No problem. All right,
Yay.
We were speaking with Josh and Katelyn and John, the 2 leads and director of the short film Non-Ec. Tune in next week as we'll be speaking with another guest or guests about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I'm your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov, and I will see you when I see you.